Hello, everyone. Hi, Robin.
Hi, Heidi.
We're sorry we missed you guys last week. We took a little break for the holiday, and we're back with you today and hopefully weekly for here on out. Today, we wanted to talk a little bit about relationships and situations that have a lot of drama, that deplete life energy, um, and people not realizing the mirror or the lesson in this. So, we're going to started off with my first question, which is why do some people have to have someone before they can move on from a bad relationship? So, in other words, they can't see the relationship as bad and end it. They stay in the relationship that is bad until they find someone else and then they just jump over.
Yes. Part of the problem, really, when someone is thinking about getting out of a relationship, they are worried about what will come next, or will they even be offered something that will replace that which they have had, you see. And you find this many times in relationships such as marriage that you were talking about, where there are probably some problems, some undercurrents that are already going on. And because of that, that not matching up or lining up with the one that they are partnered with, this desire that they have to have something different will often provide someone else coming into the situation. And this is really what is happening. It's not so much that the one is leaving because they have another one, it's that they attract something to themselves that is much more in alignment to what they are looking for by the desire that they have for what they do have to be different.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right.
A little bit different than what you might have thought. Sometimes it seems it's quite easy just to jump into something else if you have somewhere else to go. But really what has happened is they have been so dissatisfied where they are that this other avenue was provided for them as an outlet.
Okay. And do they run any higher of a risk of potentially attracting a similar experience by bailing from one relationship to another like that?
It would depend if they left the relationship and they decided that they are so happy with what they have now attracted and they totally let go of the past situation or circumstance that they were in, and they really move into the happiness and joy of what they have found, then they will probably end up getting the relationship that they are looking for. But if they left the relationship with the idea that they hated the one that they had, quite often they will repeat something that is very similar to what has already occurred.
Okay. So then let's just take an opposite side of the coin here. What if you're someone who, instead of being in relationships and hopping ship to another relationship, you're someone that finds all sort of excuses not to get in a relationship, and you keep talking yourself out of it before you even have a chance to get something going? What would you say about that?
Yes. Well, we would say we have had sessions with people who will tell us that they have been in repeated relationships. They just haven't worked out for them. Perhaps they are being perceived in a way that they prefer not to be. They end up with a sour taste in their mouth to what it is that they are attracting. This will
Hmm.
probably touch into the topic that we have today, that you have to realize that whatever it is that's coming before you, you are somehow a match to, or it is an attractive quality to you, and it's being mirrored back to you in the relationships that you are having with others while you are here on the earth, you see. So if you are getting repeat relationships and having problems where they aren't going well, so then you make a decision to cut yourself off, this is probably the question, and not to decide to pursue it anymore because it has been problematic for you, you probably aren't going to get the lesson that you were meant to get by doing this. You're not meant to cut yourself off or to not have what it is that you're wanting to have. You are here to learn the lessons that are before you in the ones that you're in interaction with, that will reveal to you what it is within yourself that has attracted something that is not really in alignment or to your liking. And once you can make this adjustment as the master that you are and be grateful that this one, most times we would tell you when someone has someone show up in their relationship and it doesn't go very well, they're not grateful for it all. They're quite angry, quite irritated, quite upset by the whole process of the breakup and everything else, rather rather than just realizing that by being in that relationship, they have really defined what it is that they are looking for. They have seen by the way that the one has responded to them, what it is that is active within them. It is why they are receiving the treatment they are receiving. And so that they now have this learning opportunity where they can go within themselves and decide to create a different experience by modifying the way that they choose to feel about the relationship they are getting out of. And by choosing to feel, we mean look at the one and say, I am grateful for you showing up, for you letting me see myself and the reflection that you have given me. I know now that I have inadvertently created something in an experience with you that I am not really wanting in my experience. Therefore, I'm going to be much more clear to the universe about what I am looking for in a relationship. If you go about looking for someone, perhaps your mother was married to a man that was a drunk or a cheater, and you think you make the statement over and over again, I'm never going to be married to a drunk or a cheater, chances are you're going to get a drunk or a cheater. You see, you have to state what you do want. I want a man that will love me, that is reliable, that is accountable, that I can trust, that I can depend on. This is how you will produce the outcome that you're wanting. But many times people go about it backwards. They will state over and over again that which is what they do not want. And this is an attractive quality to the universe, and make no mistake about it, you will soon see something in your experience that you're not wanting.
Okay. All right. So how can somebody know if they're moving in a direction that's going to benefit them?
You will feel good. The short answer, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You are never going to feel good if you're moving in a direction that is not to your benefit. You see, you're always going to know by the way you feel. And you have to remember that the communication is always between you and you. It's not about whether a situation is necessarily for you or not, or whether this person is the right person or not. It's about how you feel about it. What is your alignment to it? That is what's going to generate the emotion between you and you. So if you are thinking about taking a job and you get offered a pretty good job, but it isn't a stay-at-home model that you wanted, it's a long drive longer than what you thought it would be, but you feel I should take it because the money is what I asked for, you might get some apprehension or negative emotion because the universe wants you to have exactly what you asked for. So it's going to indicate to you through a little negative emotion, you can take it if you want to, but you can have it all too if you want. It's always going to be in contact with you about whether your energy is split or whether it is fully satisfied or not. You came here for the satisfying experience. You came here to be fully satisfied, not to be settling, not to be fearful and think that you have to take whatever is before you because nothing else will come. You are here to fine tune, to pick, to decide, to really hone what it is that is going to satisfy you and make you feel complete. This is the power that you have as a creator. You are not here to settle. We would like to make that point perfectly clear.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Why would someone justify somebody's bad luck as bad luck rather than what you would tell us it actually is?
Yes, because then they would not have to be accountable. Nobody wants to be accountable for the creation of something that is not to their liking. It is very easy to blame it on the one in front of you. It is very, sometimes if you are a victim, here's a funny one for you, it's very satisfying to think that someone else has caused something. It is someone else's fault if this is the role or the model that you are in, you see.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
it is important for you to recognize in every moment how it is you are feeling and to be very pointed about what it is that you want to create and what it is that you want to get in the life experience you're having. Many people do it very haphazardly. They have experiences that they don't like. They continue going on with them even though they don't like them because of some deep-rooted fear within them that if they get out of them, that somehow they're going to be even less happy than they already are. You see, this is the way humans often think. So we want you to know that you can create your own happiness, but you have to do it by incrementally shoring yourself up and assuring yourself that you are the creator that you are and removing these fears, these roadblocks, these things that are keeping you held small to see the grandeur that you really are when you step outside of that box of settling, of feeling like I'm going to keep what I know is safe because I'm afraid to go outside of that safety net. Yes. So these are the things that we would recommend to a human that is in an experience that they would prefer not to be in, that whether you do it in this life or the next life or the next life, you will get another chance at it. We've told you before, you are creating the experience that you're in. You've done it prior to even getting here based upon the way you have emoted and felt in the past lives that you have had leading up to this moment that you now stand in. What do you want for tomorrow and the next lives that you're going to be living? You can stay in lower level consciousness. You can decide to settle. You can decide to be fearful, but make no mistake about it. This will be where you will find yourself standing in the next incarnation that you have. So why not do it now?
Mm-hmm. Right. I agree. So is
Let
someone,
us add one more thing
okay,
as
yes,
encouragement. When we
yes.
say not, why not do it now? It's going to intensify. If you think you're uncomfortable now, wait till the next life and the next life and the next life. It's going to get louder and louder and
Mm-hmm.
louder until you can no longer ignore the call.
Mm-hmm. And then when we honor that call, then I'm assuming we're met with another thing that we want to fix and work on. So it's a never-ending work in progress.
As you move to higher states of consciousness, as we have discussed this before, we had a little conversation the other day with a client, and we were talking to them about 3D reality. And we don't really like to use the term lower level consciousness because a human starts to think they're behind or that somehow people are ahead of them. And that's not what it's about. It's about evolution of each individual soul. Everyone is on a journey. Everyone is on a path to expanding their consciousness. And so we want you to know that it isn't that it's lower level consciousness, but when you are in the consciousness of depression or say suicidal thoughts or a feeling of everyone thinks I'm crazy, I don't fit in, and you are trying desperately to kick those feelings out or to stop them from coming, it's almost impossible to do that as you reside in this low level of consciousness. This is all that can be offered to you. But once you decide to be a master, and this is what we are really trying to teach and to push humans to do, to recognize these difficult situations as opportunities for your advancement and learning, and you start to pick and choose how you're going to feel about them, you incrementally start to move yourself from that lower level of thinking and consciousness where all of these things reside, and you move up the level where none of those are a part of your experience. I know it's hard for you to believe that you do not have to live in fear, in angst, in worry, in jealousy, in anger, whatever it is that you are experiencing. But believe me, there are levels of consciousness where this is no longer the case. And as you gradually move and shift your consciousness by choosing ways that you can feel better, that you can actually know that there was a lesson there for you, you get the lesson and you decide, thank you for bringing it to me. And now I am going to shift my consciousness to something that feels a little bit better. You will eventually be able to hold that resonance. And when you reach the higher levels of consciousness, all of these troublesome, irritating, everyday occurrences will not be as frequently experienced in your experience.
Okay, that's good. So, if you see yourself as a victim,
Mm-hmm.
or let me rephrase this. Are you a victim when you find yourself in a relationship with a victim?
Hmm. Yes, we would say to some degree, because you are a match, are you not?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. There is no one that is in a relationship that they don't want to be in that is not fearful or in some way victimized by it. You see, if one is in their power, they move from power. They move from what is wanted. They move from what is best serving them, not from a fear, a deep-rooted fear of I must stay. I'm worried about what everyone else will think. We are looking for other excuses that might be used. My lifestyle might be changed. We could go on a list of reasons that a human uses to stay in their misery. But really what we are telling you is when you choose to stay in your misery, you're choosing to stay in lower level consciousness, and the life will not get better or yield you the things that you have really desired and added and wanted from the life that you have lived. You see, you need to move up in your consciousness to do that. And if you tether yourself to something or someone who is in lower level thinking, you're going to join them in that thinking, as you said, in victimization, and you're not going to be able to achieve what it is you're wanting to achieve.
Okay. And just a follow up to that is, why would you miss your own reflection of being a victim and think that someone is randomly being mistreated?
Mm-hmm. Repeat that question again.
Why would you miss your own reflection of being a victim and think that someone is randomly being
Hmm.
mistreated?
It is because of your distaste for them, you see. Oftentimes, when someone has an extreme dislike or distaste for something, they are not able to view it or observe it in themselves. But we would tell you that if someone is finding themselves in partnership with someone that is blaming the world, feeling as though they are persecuted, feeling as though they are unjustly treated, or cheated, or whatever else it is that a victim decides to believe, and you find yourself in relationship with them, you either feel that you are so far above them or you are equal to them. But in either way, you are a match to that energy. So it really doesn't matter. See, you have to decide, not based upon who you're with, you have to decide who you want to be. You see, many become something when they are with something instead of being something when they are with something. Do you understand the difference?
Hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
We want you to be something. We want you to be that which you came here to be. We don't want you to use the other one that you are connected to as the excuse for the lower level consciousness that you are living because you are attached to them, you see. And oftentimes there is the victimization that you asked about. I won't take credit for the misery that I am in because I am attached to a victim, you see. And this makes you a victim too, you see.
Okay. So, how does us justifying someone being a victim hurt us and them?
We laugh all the time because when we do sessions with people and they move into justification, we know right away what we are dealing with. Because if you felt worthy, if you felt as though you were enough, you would never need to justify yourself to anyone. You would never need to prove to anyone what you are, who you are, or why you are here. You would know that, and that would be enough for you. You would be aligned to the high aspect of yourself, and you would be confident in the knowing of all that is and all that you are, you see. But when someone starts to justify, they feel as though they have to prove something. They feel as though they have to be something, that they have to somehow achieve some type of a level or a view in someone else's eye that will be respected or revered. Let's use that term. So this is what we think of justification. When we hear justification, we know right away that there is a lack of ownership for the situation you are finding yourself in, and you're going to try to justify it. And we are going to tell you every single time, there's no justifying anything.
Okay. Yep. You had mentioned, and I'm just going to read this, that random means you have some victimization still in your vicinity. Close
Mhm.
relationships mean you are most likely feeling victimized and are readily drawing it to yourself unknowingly. The first
Mhm.
has some awareness and the second has none. So,
Yes.
so would you like to kind of explain that a little bit more in detail?
Yes, we would say that if someone is randomly being victimized, perhaps they are having a few experiences. Robin will use herself as the example, although she's saying, I've not had it lately. She would run into some argumentative people or people who were maybe rude on the pickleball court or something of this nature, and she'd feel a little victimized by it. And so this is where, but she had awareness of it. But oftentimes, when you are in a close relationship with someone, and you are living it day in and day out, you will become unconscious and you will live in that relationship and not really be aware of the victimization that you are a part of, you see. So we think Robin, she's using herself as an example because she did have a tendency to have some victimization in her experience, but her awareness of it has greatly decreased it. Once you become aware of something, this is a very useful way of dismantling energy, just the mere awareness of it. And what is really happening is you're shedding light. You're letting the higher consciousness of you know in your awareness, this is not something I like in my experience, yet I know I'm taking ownership that I have somehow attracted it. So she is no longer angry at the person. She's no longer upset about the experience and feeling victimized by it. She's just recognizing, there it is. I don't really like it. I don't want it. And so now it is more random. Now it is more recognizable. And now she's slowly transcending that energy. And it is a process that one goes through.
Okay. I was listening
It'll
today.
become less and less before it becomes eliminated. This is what happens to people. The universe is a testing machine. It will give you little nuggets of it until finally they get further and further apart and then finally dissipate completely.
Yeah. Yeah. I've experienced that. Um,
Yes.
I was listening to a YouTube by someone today, and they were talking about um, oftentimes when people have, you know, growth, spiritual growth, and they were specifically talking about people that maybe started off not as what we would call great people, but they evolved themselves through it. And
Mm-hmm.
they said one of the most common things that happens is the shedding of relationships
Mm-hmm.
because who they were identifying with and connecting with the way they were when they raise their vibratory level, a lot of those relationships dissipate and have to be ended because of the lack of match. And
Yes.
they referred to it as a form of dying without dying and you
Mhm.
upping your vibratory level. What do you have to say
Yes.
about that?
It is funny you bring this up because Robin does like to watch other channelers from time to time. And she was greatly surprised at how many of them had divorced. You see, as
Hmm.
they went through this transition into channeling, their partners drifted away or the relationships ended. Many of them did. Many of the women and men that she saw were probably between 35 and 65 had this occur in their experience. So we would tell you that when there is a shift energetically, it's very important for couples to keep up to it because what is really occurring, a lot of the humans will say, well, we're just not thinking the same, or we don't have the same dreams or aspirations or goals. But really what has happened is there's been an energetic shift or a change in the person's energy field, and they are no longer a match to them. This can happen a number of ways, really. There are energy centers in the body, and when people meet people for the first time and they are young, yes, sometimes they will meet a partner that is strong in centers where they are weak, and this together will make them feel whole. But as time goes on and as one matures into their age, yes, they become, the centers start to open on their own, and then the arguments start. They do not any longer need the one fulfilling or telling them what to do, say in areas of finance or areas in love or areas in power, say in the stomach chakra. Yes. And so sometimes what can occur is one will fully open through their spiritual journey or path, and they will no longer need anyone to fulfill those areas that they were weak in, and they will actually feel invaded or as though they are being dominated or pushed by something or someone that they are not wanting it from, you see. So there are many different things that can occur, but it's very important if you are in a spiritual journey and you are in a relationship that you are wanting to keep in good standing and maintain it well, that you keep this constant watch or communication, open communication between each other about what it is you are doing, why you are doing it, how you are feeling about it, and that you are sensitive to where your partner is. Sometimes you have to slow down, yes, and wait for them to catch up a little bit if the relationship is important to you. And other times you can gently pull them along with you. Sometimes this works, but it is really a sensing and feeling process where one has to really consider the value of the relationship and how it is that they are going to navigate it. See, so this is the advice that we would give to people if they are really getting open to channeling and they are understanding energy centers and they are moving off in a direction, and their partner perhaps is not compliant with that or not open to that. It is okay to allow a little bit of space. You do not need to push it on them or to voice it over and over to them. Many people who are on this path feel as though if they can't do that, there's something wrong in the relationship. Not necessarily. We would tell you in Robin and Dave's relationship, it is not that Dave is not open to spiritual concepts or that he does not believe in the channeling or what she is doing, but to be quite honest and quite frank, he's not very often interested in it. It is not his thing. He'd rather be out in his garage working on his motorcycle or doing something with his hands, creating or building or working with his woodworking or whatever else it does. And she has accepted this in him. Whenever you decide to dig into something and make what you believe or what you have going on to be the only important thing that is going on, you're going to have problems in your relationship. So we're glad, really, Heidi, that you brought this up because it's very important to know that a relationship can thrive and be healthy, even if one is on a spiritual path and one is not. You're all spiritual, whether you are seeking it through your studies and the practices that you do, or you're just living your day-to-day life. And it is not for you to judge another or to decide that they are somehow behind you or less than you because they are not wanting to do exactly what it is that you are doing. So this is the advice. We are not judging anyone, by the way, who has gotten a divorce. was right. It's just something Robin happened to notice, and it might have been totally a separate incident from the spirituality. However, she thought it was quite odd that it seemed pretty current, that it was happening regularly in people who had opened to this type of work. But that being said, in all relationships, it's very important to understand the sovereignty and the anonymity of a person creating all on their own, and that you come together to enjoy the parts of yourself together that you can, and that you can, perhaps you can share some of it, but once you get into the pushing energy or the opposing energy of what someone else is doing, you're headed into murky waters.
Right, right. Yeah, they
Mhm.
mentioned something like the relationships that they had been in, that they formed, looking for something in that other that they needed. And when they really woke up to who they really were, and um, that, they wanted to follow their own joy and their own system and
Yes.
not needing it from someone else, that was partly the reason behind the splits. Mhm.
We would say, if we were to use Robin again as an example, she has several friends that are maybe in the closer range that she has shared this with. And quite honestly, several of them are not really interested in the channeling part. However, she had some close connections and good conversations and interactions with them outside of the channeling realm. And she in no way feels diminished by the idea that they maybe are not asking her about it all the time, or she can certainly say, I have an appointment or I'm working on the book, and they are accepting of that, but I would not say it is in their daily life such it is hers. However, there are other friends that she has who have completely denied the experience and do not want any part of it or to hear about it. And in those experiences, she's starting to feel as though this is one that may separate, or it is not life-giving or filling to her to be in. It's not that the person is being judged, or that there is any wrongdoing. It is just that she is realizing she wants to at least be accepted for who she is and what she is. And this does not entail people having to listen to us, yes, or to be having a channeling session, even doesn't include any of that. But it does include knowing that it's a big part of her life and being able to say, hey, how's that going? When is the book coming out? Have you been busy lately with appointments? And to be able to at least share the part of her life that this is happening in. So this is for her, has been a revealing process, because what happens is when she feels denied or not recognized, or has to hide a little bit even, it doesn't feel good to her, you see.
Yeah. And I would
Yeah.
agree with that. It's, I think years ago I made the comment about someone in my life, if they don't have to necessarily participate, but if they could just be agreeable, or they wouldn't be in an opposing energy all the time, or not
Yes.
allowing of your opinion or your feeling on something. When you're in that type of a situation or relationship, it makes it difficult to continue, because you you just want to feel seen, or at least understood, even if they don't agree. And if you don't at
Yes.
least have that back, it is hard to maintain that relationship.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Especially if you are coming from the point or place where you are giving all of yourself, you are revealing a very personal and intimate side to yourself in effort to align to this person in friendship, in confidence. And when that is denied, it does a great disservice to the friendship.
Mhm. Yes.
Mhm. Yes.
And let's just take that example. Say we use Robin or any other example, that you pull away or you leave that relationship because of that circumstance. Robin knows where she's coming from in all of that. How about the other
Mhm.
person? How do they perceive it? How do they experience it?
They are perceiving it, and we do not mean this in a downgrade or a judgment of form, but this is lower level consciousness that is not able to accept or acknowledge some of the principles that we are offering. Yes. And
Mhm.
so they are not at a level of consciousness where they can have the awareness or the ability to process this type of information. So it becomes difficult when you are at totally different energetic levels to enjoy a friendship and a conversation at the same level. You see, you probably have experienced this before. As Robin gets older, and as she is exposed to many of the teachings that we are doing, she has you that she can talk to, your children, her children, and so she has many avenues of fulfillment that she can have in the line of confidence and discussions that are deep and meaningful. And then when your consciousness starts to rise, the idle chit chat of perhaps things that don't matter, the news, talking about other people, whatever it might be, are no longer of any interest to you. So it becomes very difficult to maintain any type of intimacy or friendship with those that are at a separate place or point than you are, you see.
Sure.
Yes.
Do those people, though, do they experience like a feeling of wrongness if the relationship, I'm talking about the other side of the party,
Yes.
when it
Yes.
dissolves? How did,
Most likely, they would blame because they have no awareness of what it is that is being experienced outside of the realm of consciousness that they are holding, you see.
sure,
So at a lower level of consciousness, you're going to have lower level opinions or thoughts about why it is. The person is weird. They're going through some kind of a weird change. We could go on a list of things that a human might decide is the reason for the dissolving of a friendship. Robin really hasn't had anything to that degree occur. However, she has limited her exposure to people who she finds difficult to engage in meaningful conversation.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Mm-hmm. Does
Well,
that answer the question?
it does. Yes, yes. Well, I think we got through all of our questions that we had about relationships and victimization. Any final words that you'd like to share?
We have enjoyed this interaction. We know that we have been off for a week. We have been meaning to get back to the table. We are glad that we were able to do it today. We will be doing a YouTube next week. We are always open to any questions that any of our listeners would like to send in regard to what topics we talk about. It is always welcome. We appreciate you, Heidi, for taking the time. We want to remind everyone that we do have the podcast on Anchor and Spotify and Apple Podcasts, that you can find the Athena in Truth regular podcasts that go out several times a week. We have the YouTubes that we are doing. We are presently still involved in constructing a course that should be offered later in the upcoming months, and we will definitely keep you informed about that. Aside from that, Heidi, I think that we have covered everything we came here to cover today.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you again next week.
Good day.